Okay, let's unpack this. We often think of software engineering as this, high-speed, futuristic pursuit, right? Always chasing the newest framework, the shiny new tool, the AI that writes your code for you.
Right. But today, we're looking at something different, something a bit more grounded.
Exactly. We're looking at the archetype of the old software plumber.
It's such a compelling image, isn't it? The idea that coding isn't always about building, the next metaverse.
Yeah.
Sometimes, I'd say most of the time actually, it's about maintenance and tinkering and the daily disciplined practice of fixing leaks in the system.
And the source material we've got today is practically hot off the press. It's a blog post from qianmeng.org.
Dated today, Monday, January 26, 2026.
And we are diving into part 41 of a series called Notes on Haskell Programming.
Part 41. That alone tells you something.
It really does.
Yeah.
Some serious commitment there. Now, the technical focus here is something that sounds a bit dry on the surface. Unit testing execParserPure. But stick with us.
Please do.
Because beneath that technical jargon, this is really a story about control. It's about taking something messy and making it clean.
That's a great way to frame it. The mission of this deep dive isn't just to learn one specific Haskell function. It's to understand a fundamental philosophy in software. The battle between pure code,
Which is safe and predictable.
and I/O code, which is messy and depends on the real world.
And along the way, we're going to learn how to avoid parentheses hell, which sounds absolutely terrifying.
It is.
And we'll take a look at the fascinating daily habits of the author Ang. So let's jump into the project.
Right. So the context here is that the author is working on a command line interface tool, a CLI, called XS2 ebook.
X2 ebook. And right off the bat, Ang makes this really interesting observation about his own code.
Yeah.
He says, the test code, the file test spec.hs, is actually way more readable than the main application logic in app-main.hs.
That's pretty rare, Usually test code is the afterthought. It's the spaghetti you throw at the wall to make sure the app works. But here, he describes the main logic as dense and cryptic. But the test logic, he calls it descriptive and DSL-like.
DSL meaning domain-specific language.
Correct. He's using a testing framework called Hspec. And because of that framework, the tests read almost like plain English sentences.
Okay, but the real challenge, and this is where that plumber mindset comes in, is how you test a command line tool effectively.
Exactly.
Because usually a command line tool needs, a command line. It needs a user to type things in.
Precisely. The standard way to run a parser in this library, which is called opt-parse-applicative, is using a function called execParser.
execParser, got it.
Now, execParser is what we call an I/O action.
I/O standing for input-output.
Yes. So when you run xboxparser, the program literally reaches out to the operating system and asks, hey, what arguments did the user type into the terminal?
Okay, I see the problem immediately.
Yeah.
If you're writing an automated test, there is no user. There is no terminal.
Right.
You can't have your test suite just pausing and waiting for someone to type help.
Exactly. It creates a dependency on the external environment. If you try to test that, you're not just testing your code, you're testing the whole interaction between your code and the operating system.
And that's messy.
It's very messy, it's slow, and it's prone to breaking for reasons that have nothing to do with your logic at all.
So it's like, okay, imagine you're a mechanic. Using the standard execParser is like trying to test if a car engine runs.
Yeah.
But you insist on doing it by driving the car onto a busy highway during rush hour.
That is a perfect analogy. You've got traffic, you've got weather, you've got stoplights. There are just too many variables.
You don't know if the car stopped because the engine failed or because, a deer ran into the road.
Right. You want a controlled environment. You want the engine on a stand in the garage.
Right. So enter the hero of our story. execParserPure.
execParserPure. And as the name implies, it is a pure function.
So how is this the engine on a stand version?
Because execParserPure does not ask the operating system for anything. Instead, it asks you, the programmer. It takes a list of strings as an argument. You essentially say, hey, parser, pretend the user typed this list of words. What would you do?
Ah, so you can fake it. You can inject the reality you want to test.
Precisely. You pass the arguments explicitly. In the source code, Ang uses a variable simply called args. This gives you total isolation.
So you can test valid inputs, missing arguments, weird flags.
All of it. All without ever leaving the safety and comfort of your own code.
And looking at the notes here, there's a technical shift in what you get back from the function, right? The return type changes.
It does, and this is This is really crucial for Haskell developers. The standard function returns IOA.
Which is an action. It does something.
It does something in the real world. But execParserPure returns a parser result A.
Which is just data.
It's just a data structure.
Hmm.
And because it's data, you can look at it, you can inspect it, you can use what Haskell calls pattern matching to handle the result.
So you can explicitly say, if this was a success, do this. If this was a failure, do that.
Yes. No side effects. Just a clean result you can check.
So let's look at the specific test case Ang walks us through. He's testing the help flag.
Right. The scenario is simple. He wants to make sure that if a user types help, the program actually shows the help text.
So he creates a list with just one string in it.
Help?
And he feeds that list into execParserPure along with his parser preferences.
And the result is a failure, which seems wrong.
Cuckles.
And this is where it gets really interesting. In the context of this specific library, asking for help is technically considered a parser failure.
Wait, really? The program doing exactly what I asked it to do is a failure.
Well, think about it from the parser's perspective. Its job is to produce the final, ebook object or whatever the program is supposed to build.
Okay.
It was interrupted by the help request. It failed to do its main job. So it returns a failure result, but, and this is the key inside that failure object, is the help message itself.
Ah, I see. So the test code says, okay, I expect a failure here, but I need to check why it failed.
Exactly. The code then renders that failure to a string and runs an assertion. It says help.msg should contain usage.x2 book, and help.msg should contain show this help text.
And if those strings are there, the test passes.
The test passes, and you have just confirmed the CLI works, the help text is accurate, and you never once touched the actual command line.
That is incredibly satisfying. It's just clean.
It is.
Now, speaking of clean, there's another little nugget in this post about syntax. Ang points out a specific symbol on line arrow 6, the $sign.
Ah, yes, the humble $sign operator.
He writes, main Hspec $da. To the uninitiated, that just looks like random punctuation. What's that doing?
It's a tool for readability. In Haskell, the $sign operator, it changes the order of evaluation. It basically tells the compiler, evaluate everything to the right of this $sign first.
The whole do block.
The whole do block, and then pass that whole result to the function on the left.
Okay, so it's a grouper. Why not just use parentheses?
You certainly could, but Ang actually shows us the alternative in the post, and it is not pretty.
Yeah, I'm looking at the ugly version he included. It ends with this waterfall of closing brackets.
Yeah.
Lines 15, 16, and 17 are just...
It looks like Lisp code. We call that parentheses hell. By using the $sign, you eliminate the need for those opening parentheses at the start and that big stack of closing ones at the end.
So it's mostly about aesthetics.
Aesthetics and cognitive load. I mean, code is read much more often than it is written. Right? Removing visual clutter like a bunch of nested brackets just makes it easier to scan the logic. It's good code hygiene.
Which brings us back to the persona of the old software plumber. Because good hygiene, keeping things clean and documented, that seems to be the theme here.
It really is.
And I want to pivot to the sidebar of this blog, keenan.org, because when I started looking at the metadata here, my jaw kind of hit the floor.
It's impressive.
The source is dated January 26, 2026. In the sidebar, under Jan 2026, it lists 78 posts.
78.
We are only 26 days into the month. That is, wait, let me do the math. That is exactly 3 posts a day. Every single day.
That is prolific. And it suggests that Ang isn't just writing articles, he's logging his life. This is a true digital garden.
And the variety. I mean, we're here talking about notes on Haskell programming, part 41. But look at the other categories. Notes on gardening, part 788.
788.
My encounter with. To plant or not to plant. Beginning of my, it's like a soap opera for his plants.
It's fantastic.
And there's notes on fish keeping. Part 180 is relocating to something. Part 178 is building a custom something. He's got notes on photography, notes on dieting, where he's doing a deep dive into Licha.
What stands out to me here is the consistency of the mental model.
How so?
Whether he is dealing with a Haskell CLI, a fish tank filter, or a garden bed, he applies the exact same rigor. He breaks it down into notes. He serializes it. He documents the problem and the solution.
It's a scientific method applied to just life.
It is. And if we connect this back to the old software plumber hook, this is what makes a senior engineer. It's not just knowing the syntax for execParserPure. It's the habit of documentation. It's realizing that I solved this problem today, but future me will forget how I did it in 6 months. So I will write a note.
It's treating your future self as a client who needs good documentation.
Exactly. And look at the specific Haskell note we just discussed. He didn't just paste the code. He explained why the $ is there. He explained why execParserPure is better. He's teaching his future self.
And you see the same thing in the gardening titles. The timeless appeal of, the transition of. He's reflecting, not just reporting what happened.
That's a key distinction. Reflection is where the learning happens. You can write code all day, but if you don't stop to write the note about why the test code was cleaner than the main code, you don't internalize the lesson.
Right.
Ang has clearly built a system where reflection is mandatory, 3 times a day, apparently.
It's actually kind of inspiring. I mean, we all have that messy drawer in our house or that messy folder on our desktop. And here's a guy who's meticulously cataloging everything from his beta spawn logs to his Perl weekly challenges.
It suggests that for the old software plumber, everything is a system. A fish tank is a system of inputs and outputs, water quality, food, waste.
A Haskell program is a system of inputs and outputs.
Exactly. If you can debug one, you can probably debug the other, provided you have the patience to observe.
That's a profound thought. The skills translate. Debugging a tank of algae probably requires the same patience as debugging a memory leak.
And probably the same amount of frustration.
Chuckles. Oh, undoubtedly.
Yeah.
You can't just execParserPure your garden.
No.
You can't just tell the garden, pretend it rained today.
No, the garden is pure I/O. It's all real world. You have to deal with the reality of it.
But the mindset helps.
The mindset absolutely helps. If you approach your garden with the same pure observation skills, okay, the leaves are yellow, that's a failure state, let's inspect the inputs, you're going to be a better gardener than if you just randomly throw water at it.
So, bringing it all back together to the code, we started with a specific technical problem. How do you unit test a command line interface without the messiness of the real world?
And the answer was isolation. Use execParserPure. Stop relying on the operating system to provide your data.
Inject the data yourself.
Right. Turn a side effect heavy interaction into a pure function that just returns a piece of data you can look at.
We learned that even a failure result can be a success if you're testing for the help flag.
Which is a lovely little philosophical nugget in itself.
And we learned that the $ in Haskell is your friend if you hate typing parentheses.
But the bigger lesson, I think, is about that pure philosophy versus the I/O reality. In our code, we strive for purity, for isolation, for predictability. But in the real world, the world of gardening, fish keeping, daily life, everything is I/O. Everything is messy.
That's true. You can't write a unit test for your commute. You just have to deal with the traffic.
You do, but you can observe it. You can take notes. You can apply that pure mindset of clear observation to the messy reality. And that's what Ang is doing with qianmeng.org.
He's bringing the structure of code to the chaos of life.
And with incredible discipline.
78 posts in January. I'm still not over that. It sets a high bar for us.
It certainly does. It challenges the idea that I don't have time to document. If Ang has time to document his code, his garden, and his fish, we probably have time to write down why we chose that library for our last project.
Ouch. Called out.
Myself included.
So here's our challenge to you, the listener. We talked about I/O as the messy external dependency that breaks your tests.
The thing you can't control.
Right. So looking at your own workflow, whether you're a coder, a writer, or just someone trying to get things done, what is the I/O in your life? What is that one external dependency that keeps introducing chaos into your day?
Is it endless meetings? Is it a constantly changing set of requirements? Is it literally just the noise in your office?
And can you isolate it?
Yeah.
Can you mock it out? Or at the very least, can you start writing notes about it so you don't make the same mistake twice?
Or can you create a pure environment for your work, even for just an hour a day? That's the question.
A little bit of plumber wisdom to carry you through the week. Thanks for diving in with us.
See you next time.